Wesley Williams, guide runner, helped Alexis Gillette with the silver medal in Beijing, originally from Visailles, California, training at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista.
My name is Alexis Gillette. I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina. I train at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista, California. I do long jump, triple jump, the 100 meters and 200 meters, and I won a silver medal in Beijing in 2008.
Hello, my name is Jerome Avery. I'm from Lemoore, California, and currently train at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista. I run the 100 meters and 200 meters and 400 meters, and I'm a guide runner for Josiah Jameson, who recently competed at the Beijing Paralympics and won a gold medal.
Hello everybody, my name is Josiah Jameson. I'm originally from South Carolina, but I train out in Chula Vista, California at the Olympic Training Center out there. I'm a Paralympic track and field athlete. I do the 100, 200, and 400, and recently I just won a gold medal in Beijing.
Today we're going to show you how to set a T11 into its blocks properly. First thing you want to do is make sure the athlete's blocks are set up between the 100-meter parallel lines pretty straight and narrow. Make sure that he's going to have the best advantage to get down the stretch as fast as he can. So there's a straight. Without getting him into any foul trouble, we're going to make sure his hands are placed properly behind the white line, the starting line, I should say. The athlete should feel comfortable in the blocks. From here, I want to make sure my blocks are a safe distance from the athletes. I just place my 2 fingers in the tethers, so making sure that I'm in a safe distance from the athlete. Because if I'm too far, I would jerk him. And then proceed with cues down the track to help my athlete execute a better race. And I'll start us off. Runners on your mark, get set, go. Drive, 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 straight, 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 straight.
Here's a brief recap of some key points to remember. T11 athletes should be set up comfortably between the 100 parallel lines with their hands placed behind the white start line. Make sure you are a safe distance from them, and remember, you're connected by a tether, so be careful not to jerk the athlete. Finally, use cues while running for better communication.
There are 2 different classifications which the guide runners run with. One you saw earlier, which is B1 and T11. That was Alexis Gillette and Wesley Williams. The others is B2 or T12, which is me and Josiah Jameson. Now what we're going to be doing is demonstrating how he takes off. With the other one, they were connected with the tether, but me and him were not connected with the tether. We go off of vocal cues, and I'm what you would call basically a shadow. So I would run alongside of him and talk during the whole way, making sure he stays within our lanes, which is 2 lanes. You ready? Yeah. All right. Now he already has his blocks set up for him to take off. What I normally do is watch him get in the blocks, making sure everything is even. He has both of his foot on the back of the blocks. Now that is most important. You want to make sure your athlete is in the blocks, set up, hands behind the lines, and in a good position. Just like that. See, he has both of his foot on the back blocks. Sometimes you can actually lose focus and not pay attention to this. Find that the athlete will have his foot way up here, which can cause him to go down into the ground instead of getting in his proper position that he needs to be in. So normally he would have his foot on the bottom of the block. Then I would set my blocks up, run on the side of them. It all depends. Usually tethered, they're a little bit closer, but me, since we're not tethered, I'm a little bit further away from him. Also, you have a choice whether or not to have him call you guys going out the blocks, or me calling myself going out the blocks. It all depends on how comfortable you guys are working together. Now, me and Josiah have been working out for a while, so I feel real comfortable for him to call out the blocks and me catch him, instead of me going out and making sure that I'm behind him and he's getting out the blocks before me. So on you whenever you're ready to go. Set. Oh. Drive, 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 drive. There you go, right there.
Here's a brief recap of some key points to remember. For the T12 athletes, you are not connected by a tether. Instead, you shadow the athlete while running and guide them with local cues. Before the athlete starts, be sure to check their feet so they're placed properly. And while running, remember to stay within 50 centimeters of the athlete. Finally, if the athlete is comfortable, let them call themselves out of the blocks.
Now the rules say that you have to be within 50 centimeters from you and your athlete, which is measuring tape about right there to right here. But to be on the safe side, I normally stay on this hip. It's a little bit of a comfortable area for me, and it keeps you out of disqualification troubles. Now running the curve is a little bit different between the guide runner and the athlete. They can choose whether or not to go in or out the lane. Within this area is our area, so we have 2 lanes to work with. So it doesn't matter whether the guide runner or the athlete runs within this lane. Now one thing you want to make sure that you do is keep the athlete tight on the curve. With me and him, I run alongside him within his inside. He feels comfortable with me running in his inside because he veers in a little bit. Some guides tend to run on the athlete outside because the athletes tend to veer out. You want to demonstrate real quick and show them how we do it? Yeah. There you go. Coming onto the curve. Keep it on. Keep it tight. Keep it tight. One on the top of the curve. All right, gradually coming off. Come on. Let's go. 20 meters till we're off the curve. Stay in tight. Come on, Nick. Stay in tight. Come on. Stay in tight. Come on, Nick. Come on, Nick. Way to run that curve. Let's go. Get him, Nick.
Here's a brief recap of some key points to remember. It is important to follow the centimeter rule, which is staying within 50 centimeters of the athlete. Each pair is given 2 track lanes, and it is the athlete's decision to run within the inner or outer lane. Finally, communicate to the athlete and keep them tight on the curve.
Now the last part of the race is definitely the finish line. Of course, you want to make sure that the athlete crosses before you cross, or you will be disqualified. And what I normally do is edge back just a little bit if I feel that I'm too close, just to keep us on the safe side. You ready? Off of you. Ready? And what I'll do is ease back a little bit to make sure that he crosses before me, so you'll be fine.
Remember, the athlete must cross the finish line before the guide, otherwise they're disqualified from the race. As an extra tip, edge back a bit when approaching the finish line to make sure the athlete crosses first.
We're going to be showing how to execute a proper long jump with the T11. First thing, what's very important is that you map out what the area looks like for the athlete. So right now I'm going to walk my athlete across from each side to each side, let him know that there's concrete here. So if he runs out, he's going to be dealing with concrete on each side of the runway. Then I'll let him know that it's elevated from the concrete about a couple of inches there. Then I'll walk him around the pit. There's a dip there. Then you come out here to the edge. And you come out here to the other edge. And then for the pit, you're gonna have, and this is concrete around, and for the pit, you got like an extra 15 meters, okay? So generally what that does is help him be aware of his surroundings, and if I have to call him off, which is if he's running down the runway and he's veering right or left, I could take extra safety precautions and call him out early before he even gets onto the concrete. In this area, which is the T11 jump board, which is a meter and is slightly different from a Olympic athlete's board, we lay down chalk. So when the athlete jumps anywhere in this region where his mark is imprinted, that's where we're going to measure from. Okay, so what I do to get a better placement for the athlete is put my foot right in front of the mark where he needs to place his foot, and it's primarily in the middle of the runway. Line him up, make sure that his posture is in front of him, his head is correct. So when I call him down in front of the pit, he could hear me in the best way this way. I'll stand in front of the pit and I'll call out a cadence, which is clap straight, clap straight, clap straight, until the athlete is ready to go. First thing I'm gonna do now is ask him if he's ready. And if he's ready, he'll place his arms out in front. And if he's off, inside or out, I will call him out or in, and he'll line up chest length with me. And then that's when I start proceeding with my cadence, and he'll run down the runway. Ready? Out. Right there. Straight, 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 straight. There you go. Ready? Out. Out. Right there. Straight, 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 straight.
Here's a brief recap of some key points to remember. It is important to map out the jump area with the athlete using their hands and feet before they start their jump. The takeoff board is a 1 meter square filled with chalk, which is used to measure the distance from the footmark closest to the pit. A cadence is a series of vocal calls by the guide that keep the athlete coordinated and in rhythm while running toward the pit. Finally, before the athlete takes off, check their posture and position.
My name is Donald Cooper. I'm a guide runner for Nick Silver. Today we're going to discuss the triple jump. Nick is actually a long jumper, triple jumper, and he runs the 1 and the 200 meters. With the triple jump, as a caller, Nick prefers me to stand to the side of the board as he does his run up, which we'll demonstrate later. And the verbal command that I will use is here, 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 here. And as he approaches the board with the step before takeoff, Nick will actually, I will actually give the command go, and that will be his penultimate step. And then his next step, he would take off from the board. The first thing a guide runner should do is make sure the area is secure and safe around the pit. Like now, we have the brush and a bag in the way. So first objective would be to clear the area. Okay. And just a little information about the takeoff board, which is modified. Talcum powder is a type of baby powder that we put down, and it's about a meter length. And what we judge is, Nick, if you can walk forward and kind of just step into it. So, and just pause, just come back and pause, just like you're doing your takeoff. The measurements, instead of the traditional measurement, meaning they'll measure from here into the sand to get the distance, we measure from here, wherever his takeoff is, within this meter range to get his distance. So as he's coming down and we're giving the command, he can take off from anywhere within this perimeter, okay? And we'll do his measurement from the triple jump board. Okay, you can go ahead and put it down at that middle. Remember, we're gonna go from that middle, about right there. Yeah, okay. And I'll walk off the distance. Okay. Okay, 75 feet is where he's gonna start off for his run up. Okay, I got it, Nick. And Nick is a B2 Paralympic athlete with his vision loss. I mean, he does have residual vision, but he does use a guide runner and a caller in doing all of his events. So I'll walk with Nick back to his starting point. which we have here, the starting point with a cut up tennis ball, and I'll walk back down and stand right next to the takeoff area. And once he's ready, he'll give me the single. And then once he goes, I'll start giving the verbal command, and he'll come through and actually complete the jump. Okay. Okay, you ready? Here, 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 go. Job. Here, 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 go. Good. Here, 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 go. Out.
Here's a brief recap of some key points to remember. Before the athlete starts jumping, check the pit area to make sure it's clear of any obstacles. It's the athlete's preference whether the guide calls from the side of the pit, in front of the takeoff board, or by yelling "go" at the athlete's last step before taking off. Measure the distance of the athlete's jump from the last foot mark in the chalk closest to the pit. Finally, talcum powder can also be used instead of chalk.
Tim, we're coming up on a street. We'll grab my arm. When you're out guide running, what's most important is the safety of the two of us here today. And we're here at a street intersection. And when Tim and I are crossing the street, we're going to go tight. We're still going to hold the tether, but Tim's going to grab my arm, and I'll say, just grab it. And we'll stay tight. We'll cross the street. We'll know there's no cars coming, and we'll take off. Tim, there's no curb here. There's a clear curb cut. We'll take off and go. No cars. Tim, we're coming up on a curb up. When approaching a curb, it's really important for me to let Tim know if it's up or down. And we usually use a 3-2-1 command. So Tim, this is a curb up. On a count of 1, we'll go up. 3, 2, 1, up. And then again, when we're going down, again, I'll give him that direction. It's a down, and we're staying in tight. Tim, there's a curb down. 3, 2, 1, down, and we're through, and we can cross. When you're out guide running, the only piece of equipment you really need is a tether. And all a tether is a shoestring. And Tim and I right now are tethered together. And when we run, we are going to run freely and stride together. And what's really important for a new guide runner when you're out running is knowing when those obstacles are and when they're coming up. And one technique Tim and I have used over the course of 16 years of running together is if there's a bike that comes dashing in front of us or a dog that dashes in front of us, I'm going to grab Tim's arm and he's going to just go to my elbow, and we're locked in, we're tight, we're safe now. And then I'll let him know what the obstacle was that came up. Tim, it was a dog, and when we're clear, I'll say, Tim, we're clear, and we're back to running freely again, tethered together. For a beginner guide runner, one technique to start off is start off without using the tether and just run together with Tim using my elbow. So we won't even use the tether when we're out running. Tim, you could let go now, and we'll run with his elbow, his hand on my elbow, and we can run freely like that. And as we become a little more experienced, or you become more experienced with your runner, we can have the tether in tight and still run freely. And then as we become more comfortable and experienced, and as you do, you can run with the tether much looser and much freer for greater free movement when you're running. 50 feet, we have 2 trees. We'll go in tight till we clear the trees. Grab arm. You're through the trees, you're clear.
Here's a brief recap of some key points to remember. When approaching an intersection, remember to pull the athlete close to your arm for more protection. When it comes to trail running, communication is very important. Be sure to watch out for any obstacles that may get in the way of the path. It's helpful to have beginning trail runners hold onto your elbow while running. And as you become more comfortable, you can move to a tether so that you can run more freely.
Any runner really could become a guide runner, and the guide runner really is dependent on the needs of the athlete who is blind or visually impaired. For instance, that person may be just interested in a recreational run, running on a trail, or it could be a competitive runner like Tim Willis, 3-time Paralympic athlete, who would be looking for a competitive guide runner. So the guide runner really is dependent upon the needs of the athlete who is blind and visually impaired.
When a blind or visually impaired athlete is looking for a guide runner, there's several places they can look to find somebody to run with on a regular basis. Depending on what the blind or visually impaired athlete wants to do, they can maybe just want to run recreationally a couple days a week, or they might want to do some competitive running on a local or even a national level, and in some cases an international level. So it depends on what your needs are as a blind or visually impaired athlete. If you're just looking to do some recreational running, what you can do is call a local running club or a local running store, local fitness center, and put out the word that you're looking for people to run with. And then if you need something more competitive to get better workouts and so forth, what you would do is possibly contact a running club for their competitive team, or a high school or college cross-country or track program looking for people that are more competitive that could keep up with you.
For more information on guide running or becoming a guide runner, contact U.S. Paralympics at 719-866-2030 or go to our website at usparalympics.org.